If I told you that there's 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, and 24 hours in the day, you'd agree with me because these are facts, right? So now, if I asked you how long 1 minute of sleep feels after a long day versus how long 1 minute of talking to someone with hell breath feels, you give me different answers. So, time is subjective, but its metrics aren't. And what's even crazier is that we have our own personal measurement of time, our birthdays. And whilst it's shared with millions of randos and the odd celebrity here and there, it feels unique to us. And everyone loves talking about the cakes and the balloons and the cards and the presents around this time, but never about the existential crisis that haunts you as the day approaches. Suddenly, the concept of your existence and mortality become more intense. It feels like walking through a busy city centre before a time lapse sweeps up everything that exists. Everything gets set for you. Day and night begin to run around the sky as though they're playing tig and tag, and your happiest and saddest moments over the past year morph into a bittersweet blur. Birds carrying your unused ideas fly in search of new owners because you've left them without food for too long, and you see loved ones drowning in the violent waves of the crowd. And while some make their way back to you, some are gone forever, and cracks begin to burst through the concrete to swallow missed opportunities and spit out new ones. And from the corner of your eye, you see death attempting to buy a knife but getting rejected because he's not of age. You feel his malicious glare, but you don't dare look back at him. You just thank God for living to see another day. But then there's a shift. As you begin to put one foot in front of the other, you realize that time isn't moving any faster than it was before. You just stop moving. Time never changed and it never will. But still, we blame time for moving fast at pivotal moments in our lives because we don't want to blame ourselves. We don't want to admit that we didn't spend enough time with people before they were lost in the crowd. We don't want to admit that we wasted opportunities and allowed them to be swallowed because we thought that it wasn't the right time. And we definitely don't want to think about the fact that time is finite, so we spend it like it's nothing before getting mad at the receipt. But regardless of how we spent our time in the past, there's comfort in the fact that time repeats itself, and there's a time for everything. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to search and a time to give up. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. And whilst there'll always be things that aren't pleasant, the good times come around again. But because we can't see into the future that holds our final breath, we make the most of now. So, to not end on a depressive note, how have you spent your time this week, or how are you going to spend it for the rest of the week? As for me, I'm recording this at like almost 1 a.m. because I got back from skating yesterday at New Rink in Manchester, which is really fun. I love skating. Yeah, that's enough about me. Make sure to send this to someone that you like to spend more time with. And until next time, Alicia, the adult.